Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today on Fitness with Frost, we're going to be going over the Samsung Galaxy Watch Ultra. I've been using this guy for about a couple months now, and I got some thoughts. There's a good amount of pros. There are definitely some cons. We're also going to go over the user interface and how it works with the app as well, but let's go ahead and get right into it. First off, let's go over some positives. I do love the design. I didn't think I would because of the boxier design. I was a bigger fan of the older circular faces. Of course, it's the 6, and this is the 6 Classic, and I am still a big fan of the rotating bezel on the 6 Classic. And I was a little disappointed it's not on Ultra, but it does make it a lot more durable. With that being said, it has sapphire glass, so it's a lot less susceptible to getting scratches. And also, I am a big fan of the button design. There is a new quick action button. I'll go over some thoughts, even some negatives on that a little bit later in the video. It is a bright display, 3000 nits of brightness. So you'll be able to see this in any sort of atmosphere, whether it's really bright, and it also darkens into like a red at night, so it's not going to blind you when it turns on, which is a big positive. Fitness tracking is pretty good. It is better this year than it has been in previous years, but that's really not by much. There are some AI features built in as well. Even with this energy score, the energy score was all right. I use my Whoop band to give me a little bit of percentage that seems a little bit more accurate in how I'm feeling. The energy score is okay. I did feel like if I did get a good amount of sleep, my energy score was high, but if I didn't get a lot of sleep, my energy score was really low, which makes sense intuitively. But my Whoop would really catch in on things like if I was drinking that night. It will see my HRV being low, and it'll kind of use the algorithm to push me to be a little bit lower on my energy and recovery, and I think that's a little bit more accurate. But as far as those health things, it's got pretty good heart rate, decent step counting. It also does SpO2 levels and ECG, and the sleep tracking is actually probably one of the more positives with it. It's pretty good, and going in with sleep tracking, it does have a pretty good battery life. I can get 2 pretty full days out of it, and if you really are looking for more long-term battery, I'd probably recommend putting your charger in the car so it can kind of charge while you're driving. But even though it does have features like Google Maps built in, so if you are navigating, it will go through the watch. Talking about the charger, even though I haven't gotten the negatives yet, it's right here. It's not as strong as it's been in previous years. Here it's holding right now, but it kind of falls off relatively easily. Well, with the older ones, it did seem to have a little bit stronger of a magnet. It's not the biggest deal in the world, but you just have to make sure it's on it. Also, with charging, it's no longer Qi wireless, so you can no longer put it on a regular Qi wireless charging, and that means there's no reverse charging with your Samsung either. So there is a little bit of a negative to that, but even though you can't reverse charge, you can still plug it into your phone and still be able to charge it that way. The user interface itself, we'll be going to that in a second, but it's probably the most snappy I've felt a Samsung watch has been through all the ones that I've actually reviewed. So the user interface in general, pretty darn good. Its new feature with this action button, they have, of course, all your exercise, but this multi-sport is actually pretty interesting. You can customize this multi-sport wherever you like, but it automatically transfers from one sport into the next, whether that be swimming, bicycling, or running. Sadly, it doesn't have things like skiing or rowing. I feel like that should be able to be put in, as it does tell when I've been rowing for about 5 minutes. It will pop in like, hey, you've been rowing, you want to start a workout? So it is pretty intuitive with stuff like that, and I wish they add that into the multi-sport. Its water resistance does go in with the durability. It has 10 atmospheres of water resistance. You're able to go even deeper into water and not have to worry about it as much, which is great. And not only that, the durability in general is great. But we have cons as well, so let's get into those. My first con is I've had multiple Samsung watches over the years, and I have so many bands that I've accumulated over those years. Sadly, with the newer design, even though it is pretty good, taking on and off pretty simply, I can't use my other bands. Yes, there are third-party ones that you can get, like little pins that are put out that you can use these old ones, but it's a little bit clunky, and I don't trust it as much. The durability will go down. This band itself, I mean, I've been using it for a long time now, so as you can tell, it is a little bit beat up, but it has worked for a solid 6 months, but I am gonna need to get a new band soon. So the price point is pretty high. It has dropped since it has released. You can get anywhere from like $420 on Samsung.com, but you can even get on Amazon like $378. But there is a pretty good trade-in as well. Like if you do have the Samsung 6 Classic, that has a pretty good, I think it's like $300 value, which isn't bad for trade-in, but we'll go over which one I would recommend for what people at the end. The size and weight of this can deter a lot of people. I don't have the biggest wrists in the world, but it does seem to fit on my wrist really well. But of course, for people with even daintier wrists than it is going to be a little bit clunky. The weight, even though it looks a lot bigger than the Samsung 6 Classic, it's actually just a tiny bit lighter, but the Classic is pretty heavy with this stainless steel, where this has more of a titanium build. So it really goes into your certain preferences, but of course, if you're looking for the Samsung lightest one, it will be just the regular watch, and this thing is pretty light. Sadly, some of the features on this watch will not be able to use unless you have a Samsung device. Those features include the things like ECG, blood pressure monitoring, even though that does go by region. Like in the US, you do not get blood pressure monitoring, so don't even worry about that. So it does work best with Samsung devices, but it will work on other Android devices, but it will not work on iOS. So if you have an Apple, sorry, you'll just have to get that Apple Ultra. The bezel design, like I said, I was a really big fan of the bezel design from previous years, but again, that's relatively subjective. It's not really anything. You can still use it like a bezel as you rotate through the digital bezel, but that's really up to you, and it is subjective. Battery life is decent, but by no means is this a great battery life. Garmin has great battery life, that you can get a pretty good design, but Garmin will be a little bit higher, and there's a multiple other ones, but it is a great smartwatch in general. And as an overall thing, this is a great overall smartwatch, but there is a boatload of features. If you like a boatload of features, this might be for you, but if you are looking for a little bit more simplistic, I probably wouldn't go for a watch like this. Another con with that quick action button. Like I said, it's great for just getting into your workouts or other things like that. But during my workouts, with a lot of wrist flexion, it will actually hit that button and pause it. You will feel a rumble, the vibration will go, but it's difficult that you're going through a high intensity workout. It's like, oh, I gotta play my workout again. I try to look on forums to see if there's anything to work out. I still haven't found anything. Hopefully something maybe within an update, but pretty much the only thing I can do is just switch wrists, and then my wrist won't stop it, but it is what it is. So also it does come with 2 apps. It comes with the wearable app. That's where you'll be more likely to customize it, and you can go through settings through that as well. But then there's also the health app. This is where you're gonna get all your metrics, your steps, your stuff like that, your workouts, and your sleep as well. So this actually did catch my nap I did earlier, which is great. In general, the sleep scores have been good. They also give you a little bit of a way to help you with sleep, so it gives a lot of different things. To even if you have your phone nearby, it can tell if you snore or not, which is also pretty cool. But as far as the workouts are concerned, you have to come up here. This was my workout today. You can see how it worked through. I guess gotta hit a couple buttons to get there. How my heart rate went up and down, where my heart rate zones were, 5, 4, 3, what have you. It does a pretty good job. It did catch me a little too late. I did get earlier into the 180s earlier, and the 190 might be a little too high. But in general, it is fairly good as far as accuracy is concerned with high intensity interval training. But if you're more of somebody who just runs consistently, steady state cardio type stuff, this will work great for you. You can do other things in the app, like put your water in, you can put your blood pressure in, blood glucose, and get even some age index type stuff, which it's just more marketing terms than anything else. I wouldn't put any stock behind it. One of the things that is cool is you can get a VO2 max. I haven't done it on this one in a while, but if you run for, I believe, 25 minutes at a constant rate, it will give you a estimated VO2 max. And I found that to be pretty accurate, which is pretty cool. You have other things like you can get started into a team, and even on the app itself, there's actually some things built in like workouts, so that is built in with the price itself. So that's a positive as well. You get some badges for going through some streaks. Your personal best as far as miles are concerned are there as well. So it's a little bit more social, so you can share it with your friends. Let's quickly just go over the user interface. As you can tell, it just shifted to that red, which is pretty cool because it's not as bright over here. And then it shifted back when it sees that brightness. When you swipe down, there's going to be more of a quick settings. One of my favorite things is to find my phone that I consistently miss. So that does that fairly quickly. But you can customize all of that. When you swipe up, this is going to be all of your apps that's built in as well. And then when you use the digital bezel, you can actually move from side to side. But typically your notifications will be swiping from left to right. And then you can go through your certain tiles as well, your workouts. You can go into the AI thing of the energy, and then just swiping through. And again, all of this is customizable, and you can put it in whichever you like. And then on the back of the watch, this is where you have all of your sensors. Over here is where you are going to see your buttons. And as far as taking off that watch is concerned, sorry, it's getting a little blurry here, but you kind of put your fingernail in there, comes off relatively simply, and all you gotta do is the snap-on is a little bit more simple. Snap it back on, and you're ready to go. So ultimately, what are my thoughts with this Samsung Galaxy Watch Ultra? If you are looking for Samsung's best, this is going to be Samsung's best. If you do a lot of swimming, if you do a lot of longer workouts, like triathlons, like longer 5 marathon running, you know what I mean. I would recommend this over the other watches. Even that 4 Pro from years back, wasn't the biggest fan of the way that looked. But as far as these things that Samsungs are giving out right now, if you're looking for something a little bit more sleek, I'd probably go with the 6 Classic. It's still going to be fairly good, but it is a little bit more bulky. But in general, the regular Samsung watch is going to work great for you if you don't need the extra durability, if you don't need the extra battery life. I just recommend getting the regular Samsung watch. And if you have the 6 Classic and are thinking about upgrading to the Ultra, I would probably do it. Even though I'm a big fan of the way this looks, I don't go out a lot, to be perfectly honest. So I am looking for something a little bit more fitness-y. So I am a big fan and will trade in my Classic 6 for this Ultra. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, smash that like button. And if you really enjoyed it, make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell so you'll be the first one to know when my next video comes out. But as always, guys, stay happy, stay healthy, and above all, stay positive. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.